Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Norman Manasa, the director of the National Education Project here in Washington, D.C. We are having tonight the first annual live reading of the Bill of Rights over the internet. This has never happened before, and we are fortunate to have with us children from St. Peter's School on Capitol Hill here in Washington, D.C., and Springfield Estates Elementary School in Fairfax, Virginia. They will each be reading the amendments of the Bill of Rights in just a few minutes. My purpose as head of the project is to welcome you all. Thank you. We live off the Bill of Rights in this country, as we have for 222 years. There has always been an attempt throughout thousands of years of American history for countries to balance the power of the central government, which every country has going back probably 10,000 years, with the liberties of the people. How in the world do you do that? Well, the Founding Fathers 222 years ago found out how to do it, and they put it on a piece of paper, and it's called the Bill of Rights, and it has not been changed in all that time, and it has become, the world now recognizes the great document of liberty, one of the most majestic and powerful documents ever created by a free people. And if you haven't seen it in a while, this is what it looks like, just two pieces of paper. This saves the liberties every day of 330 million Americans from one end of this country to the other, including all of you viewing this webcast this evening. This, however, is a special version of the Bill of Rights. Now, not because I changed anything, because I didn't. People can come to our website and have for 4 years. The website, by the way, is www.national-education-project.org. They download this document. It's free, of course. The project, by the way, just so you know, is a nonprofit, non-political 501c3 tax-exempt corporation. So people have come to this. It's been downloaded in all 50 states and the District of Columbia and in 64 countries around the world. Such is the thirst for liberty. But this particular document is called the Refrigerator Door Bill of Rights because children sign it here, they put their school picture here, and they put it on the family refrigerator door. Now, refrigerator doors don't move. They last for 20 years. So every time anybody in the family goes to the refrigerator, they learn a little bit more about their liberties as Americans. The Founding Fathers said over 200 years ago that if you don't have a copy of the Bill of Rights on a piece of paper in your hands, you cannot possibly know what your liberties are as an American. But they never had a means to get the Bill of Rights out to millions of people. Brilliant as these people were, they could not do that. Well, then comes along, 200 years later, this miracle thing called the internet. And people just come to my website, it's free, 2 pieces of paper, that's 2 cents, right? And for 2 pennies, you bequeath the liberties of America to your children. If you're a classroom teacher and you've got 25 kids, for 50 cents, you give those children their liberties as Americans from the Refrigerator Door Bill of Rights on our website. The advantage of it for the children is this. Since they've signed it, their name is on it, their school picture is on it, it's on their refrigerator door. The larger lesson is it belongs to them. And it does. It does not belong to the government, it belongs to the people. And even the very first 5 words of the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law. It limits the power of government. The Founding Fathers gave tremendous power to the federal government under the Constitution, but they wanted to balance it with something that stated clearly the liberties of the people. And this is what they created, and this is what we are helping to broadcast to the world tonight. Now, sometimes the discussion of the Bill of Rights, and we argue about this all the time, and we should in a free society, is a matter of perspective. And perspective can mean any number of things. I used to work at the Supreme Court along with some of my colleagues here this evening, and I was at a dinner and was seated next to a lovely lady who was a public elementary school teacher in the District of Columbia. And she was just talking about her children. And she said, well, I teach 4th grade, and we had flashcards. I don't know if you all remember flashcards, but she was using flashcards, and she was quizzing a little girl, and the question was, how many inches in a foot? So the little girl is thinking and thinking, she's scratching her cheek, and she's thinking. And finally, the teacher says, do you have a question? Can I ask? She says, yes, your foot or mine? Well, perspective, that kind of thing, which we work as best we can in this country to resolve. I particularly owe a debt to my board of directors and some who've helped greatly all these years, but also to one particular who's now gone, which is my old boss, our old boss, Chief Justice Warren E. Burger, who's gone now, but we all worked for him. And he was a man who inspired us all down this road to have a greater understanding of the Bill of Rights. Jim Duff and I, whom you'll meet in a minute, used to sit on the bench when the justices are seated, cases are being argued. Jim and I sat in little chairs right behind the justices and ran and fetched law books and things of that sort, where I got a very good education in how ignorant I was about the Bill of Rights. Frankly, it was an embarrassment. But that's what sort of begins to turn these wheels of inquiry and help to bring us all here this evening. Well, those are my thoughts. I'm going to turn things over now to a distinguished colleague of mine, Jan Horbley. Jan was legal counselor to Chief Justice Burger some years ago. He has one of these resumes that makes you wonder why you wasted your life. He's a former circuit executive and clerk of court for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit here in Washington. He was a special assistant to Chief Justice Burger. He was a law clerk to Chief Judge Frank Battisti of the District Court for the Northern District of Ohio. He served in the United States Army and the United States Army Reserve. He's a graduate of the United States Army War College, the United States Army Command, and the General Staff College. He has been awarded the Legion of Merit and the Bronze Star. He has a JSD degree, I have no idea what that is, from Yale Law School, and an LLM from the University of Virginia, and more things than I can even tell you about, except to say this is a remarkably brilliant man. I'm so delighted he's a friend of mine, and he'll speak for just a moment about the history and the meaning of the Bill of Rights. But first, before we go any further in this evening's program, I would like to introduce Mrs. Mary Randolph, who is principal of, pardon me, Mary, Springfield Estates Elementary School in Springfield, Virginia, to lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Mary?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you all. And now it is my great pleasure. I should say, by the way, again, an old friend of ours from the court, Ken Starr, was to be here this evening with us. But he was coming from Rome, and he said, you know, if there's no weather problems or no airplane problems or no any kind of problems when you travel internationally, I'll be there. Well, I got a call about 10 o'clock this morning. He's stuck in Rome. They canceled his flight. So he just wants you all to know he's certainly here in spirit. He wishes he could be here, but the vagaries of air travel in winter just defeated him, I suppose. But we are delighted and honored to have our old friend again from the court, Mr. Jan Horbley. Jan.
Thank you, Norman. It's a pleasure to be here, and extend a warm welcome to all of you. I think the first order of business is to introduce those adults that will be joining the children who are here tonight. And as I mentioned your name, please stand. Mrs. Mitson Della Rosa, Mr. James C. Duff, President and CEO, Freedom Forum, Museum and First Amendment Center, Washington, D.C. I should mention that Mrs. Rosa is a senior legislative assistant to Office of the Congressman Ralph Hall of Washington, D.C. Mrs. Mary Four, sixth grade classroom teacher, St. Peter's School on Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. Mrs. Marie Horbley, professor, Northern Virginia Community College, Annandale campus. Sergeant James Pierce, U.S. Army combat veteran, wounded in Afghanistan. Mrs. Mary M. Randolph, principal, Springfield Estates Elementary School, Springfield, Virginia. Mrs. Suzanne Turner, information technology specialist. And Honorable Tommy Wells, Ward 6, Consul of the District of Columbia and Chair of the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety. Thank you so much for coming and being part of this event tonight. On behalf of the National Education Project, I'm pleased to welcome you to this, the National Press Club, and the special event we have this evening on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States. We're pleased to have here, and pleased to have all of you here, of course, and we're pleased to see so many young men and women who are here and interested in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. What you're going to hear this evening is a reading of the Bill of Rights by a number of young American citizens who will become the leaders of the nation in the years to come. Bill of Rights are important because they identify the fundamental freedoms which all American citizens are entitled to exercise and which are guaranteed to them by the Constitution of the United States. By way of introduction to this evening's program, I thought I would answer three short questions for you. First, where did the Bill of Rights come from? Second, what are the Bill of Rights? And third, where are the Bill of Rights found? The first question, where did the Bill of Rights come from? You know, throughout history, various documents and different sources have been written which have attempted to guarantee certain rights to people. In the year 1215, King John of England signed the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta proposed the concept and the ideal of trial by jury, and trial by jury of one's peers, and a creation of a fair court system. 400 years later, in 1628, the British Parliament passed the Petition of Rights. Under this petition, it prevented the king from forcing people to be housed in private persons' homes. In 1689, the British Parliament adopted the English Bill of Rights, which stated that no king could control Parliament and that members of Parliament could not be punished for disagreeing with the king. And in 1776, the American colonists, when they adopted the Declaration of Independence, stated that all men and women have certain rights such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say women. I just added that because Thomas Jefferson forgot to put it in the Declaration. In drafting the Constitution of the United States, many colonists called for the inclusion of a Bill of Rights, but none were included in the document that was ratified by the states in 1789. Later, James Madison drafted a set of 12 Bill of Rights to be added to the Constitution. In the year 1791, 3 years after the Constitution was ratified, 10 of the 12 amendments drafted by James Madison were approved by the states and added to the Constitution. Our legal system is set up by the Constitution and these 10 amendments to protect the rights of all people who are citizens of the United States of America. Second question, what are the Bill of Rights? The readings that you will hear shortly will answer this question in more detail. In short, the Bill of Rights guarantee all American citizens, among other things, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, trial by jury, freedom from unreasonable search and seizures, right to counsel, right to speedy trial, and many other freedoms. The third question, where are the Bill of Rights found? The Bill of Rights are a permanent part of the Constitution of the United States. They appear in the United States Constitution after Article 7. The Bill of Rights is also a subject of the East Frieze above the bench of the Supreme Court of the United States. When you have a chance to go to the courthouse someday and enter that Supreme Court courtroom, look above the bench and you'll see the Ten Commandments referred to in the frieze there and up by the ceiling. Well, those are short answers to those three questions. Where did the Bill of Rights come from? What are the Bill of Rights? And where are the rights found? We will learn much more about these Bill of Rights in the United States Constitution from the readings which will follow by our presenters. We appreciate these young men and women volunteering to participate as readers in this evening's program. We appreciate your coming, and we appreciate the presentation that they've prepared for you. Now we'll start with the reading of the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment.
Good evening, I'm Jim Duff, and it's my honor to introduce Sebastian Bonaiuto from Springfield Estates Elementary School, who's going to read the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance.
Second Amendment.
It's my honor to introduce Kendrick Curry of St. Peter's School to read the Second Amendment.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The Fourth Amendment. Third Amendment.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Jacob Shapiro from the Springfield Estates Elementary School to read the Third Amendment.
No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
The Fourth Amendment will be read by Ms. Ella Walter from St. Peter's School, Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C.
The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon a probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched, the persons or things to be seized.
The Fifth Amendment will be read by Ms. Hannah Wong from Springfield Estates Elementary School.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
The Sixth Amendment will be read by Camilla Johnson of St. Peter's Elementary School.
In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
The Seventh Amendment will be read by Luca Garson, Capitol Hill, St. Peter's School, Capitol Hill.
In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the other rules of the common law.
The Eighth Amendment will be read by Caitlin O'Rourke of St. Peter's School, Capitol Hill.
Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted.
The Ninth Amendment will be read by Arnaldo Herrera of Springfield Estates Elementary School.
The enumeral in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage of retained by the people.
The 10th Amendment will be read by Sebastian Benuto of Springfield Estates Elementary School.
The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
All right, well, thank you very much, and wonderful readings from our students, and nice job done by the adults. May we have a round of applause for our presenters and everyone. We appreciate all of you coming, and I'm going to turn the program back over to Norma Manasa.
Thank you, Jan. Thank all of you. Thank you very much for your remarks. It's always good to have sort of a historical context as to how we ended up where we are. And we do have people to thank from other countries and other times. My part now is simply to thank everybody. I would ask a couple of things. Please come to our website and download the Refrigerator Door Bill of Rights. Have your children sign it, put their school picture on it, put it on the refrigerator door. Encourage them to take it to school to their teachers and have their teachers give it out to their children. This has already been happening in schools all over the country, and it's really very heartwarming to realize the reach of the internet. It's just astonishing. Speaking of the reach of the internet, as head of this project, I have to go around and ask for funds to support this event, which we will do every year. If you can find it in your hearts to provide a contribution, which you can do over the website, we're a 501c3, which means it's a tax-deductible corporation. So it's a tax deduction, and who doesn't want that? The last thing to say, I suppose, is to thank everybody here. No one's ever done this before, and the only thing that brought it together was the generosity of all the people in this room. It's always a very difficult thing to try to get a new thing going, just because everybody is so busy with so many other things. But to have this remarkably distinguished panel, both friends of mine and new, I'm so very grateful to all of you. Without your help, it simply could not have happened, because nobody's going to sit there in their homes in Schenectady, New York, and listen to me read the Bill of Rights over the internet. I am particularly grateful to the children. They will inherit this country someday, and the Bill of Rights, as we leave it to them, they will inherit it. And that is a great task, a great burden, a great responsibility that has been carried by every generation of Americans. We carry it now, as our forefathers did on our behalf. We now carry it for them, and they shall bequeath it to their children. What a great gift, what a great country, and what a great job the kids did, and I think another round of applause would be just about right. Stand up, please stand up. For the children, stand up. Stand up. Good to see you. That's right. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much, and I think that concludes the first annual live national reading of the Bill of Rights over the internet. We'll do it again December 15, 2014. Mark your calendars. We'd be glad if you and all your family and friends would kindly join us. Thank you all so much.